Hello, good people of YouTube, Mountbatten here, and today we have the newly released Belfast 43 in port. So, if you missed out on Belfast the first time, this is the easiest way to get her, although there are several significant differences between this Belfast and the original Belfast. This is by far the best way to obtain her. The only way to obtain the original Belfast is through the Santa containers. And to be honest, it might be worth spending the money it costs to get this ship and buying you a couple of Santa containers, but we'll get there in a minute. So, first off, it's in Edinburgh. It's exactly the same in many ways, but it's different in a couple, and we'll get into those differences here in a second. But before we get going, just want to thank my patrons for making this possible. So thank you guys. Your donations are certainly helping with making this review possible, and many others that are still in the pipeline and in the works. But anyway, let's go ahead and look at the Belfast now. So let me just take the commander off real quick. So modules are still equipped, but I will point those change statistics out as we go through it. So the armor layout, it's in Edinburgh. So 16mm bow, 16mm stern, 114mm Citadel armor plating. So, it's in Edinburgh. Everything's going to go through it. There's the Citadel, literally exactly the same as the Edinburgh right there, because it is in Edinburgh. So, if you played the Edinburgh, if you ever shot in Edinburgh, you know what to expect from this ship. Survivability, the Belfast has 38,400 hit points with 4% torpedo protection damage reduction, which is 4% more than the Edinburgh has. So, you get 4% of torpedo damage reduction, which it doesn't really help too much. So the artillery, you get 12 152mm guns that reload in 10.5 seconds. Have a 180 time of 25.7 seconds, maximum dispersion 130 meters with the module. And you also get HE. This is something that the Edinburgh does not get. So you get HE, you get 152 millimeters of wonderful British HE. Maximum HE shell damage of 2,450. 10% chance of starting a fire. That right now that is with the fire flags on. Base it is 9%. And since the IFHE rework, you get 30 millimeters of pin on these 152 millimeter guns. With the AP shell, you get a maximum damage of 3,100. A maximum range of 15.4 kilometers, and AP and HE shell both have an 841 meters a second velocity. You do get 12 secondary guns, but these are, of course, just for AA more than anything. I guess you could use them if you get in a knife fight with the DDs. So they have a 3-second reload time. It is a 102mm shell. Maximum HE shell damage of 1,500. 7% chance of starting a fire on target. That's actually not bad. And 17mm of penetrating capacity, with a maximum range right now of 5.3 kilometers. Alright, torpedoes. This is something that you get over the OG Belfast. So you get 2x3, literally the same torpedoes as the Edinburgh, but they have only an 8-kilometer max range, and I think they are, what are they, slower? So, yeah, the Edinburgh gets a 10-kilometer range on hers. Belfast 43 gets 8 kilometers, and I think the damage is, the Belfast 43 has a little bit more damage at 15,863, while the Edinburgh gets 15,300-ish. Other than that, they are exactly the same. AA, it's not great. The AA on the Edinburgh has a rating of 69, AA on Belfast has a rating of 53, and from playing her, because I have played her on stream, if you can tell by the XP up top, AA is next to useless in most cases. So maneuverability, this is where the Belfast 43 does improve over the Edinburgh. She has a turning circle radius of 680 meters and a rush shift time of 7.9 seconds with the rudder mod 2 equipped, and that is superior to the turning circle of the Edinburgh, which is, I think, 730 meters, so you do have a bit tighter of a turning circle. Concealment is also much better than the Edinburgh. Right now, with just the concealment mod on in the module slot, she has a detectability range of 9.9 kilometers, which is very nice. So when you slap the commander back on there, like we're about to do right now, that does all improve. So we can put the commander on here. This is the build I'm running right now. This is only a 15-point commander, so granted I am missing out on a couple of captain skills. I got priority target, adrenaline rush, superintendent, demolition expert, and then concealment. So I'm missing another 4-point skill, which I'm not really sure if I'm going for another 4-point skill or some combination of 2-point skills, a 3-point skill, and a 1-point skill. Haven't determined what I'm going to do just yet, but this is what I'm running right now. So it's a pretty high point commander, but obviously still missing some. So when you have concealment expert on there, you can get your detectability down to 8.9 kilometers, which is really, really, really nice. Alright. And then for the equipment and the consumables, this is my module build. Main battery mod 1, engine room and steering gears, and then aiming systems mod 1, rudder shift mod 1, and then concealment module. And then I'm using radar over fighter because why would you pick fighter over radar? Now the radar is actually pretty nice. You have a 9-kilometer maximum range, 25 seconds of being activated, and you get smoke screen along with the radar. Unlike the Edinburgh, which you either get smoke or radar. So that is nice. But of course you don't get 10-kilometer radar, you get 9-kilometer radar, and it does only last for 25 seconds. So it seems like a pretty fair trade-off. However, you may be noticing that there's a crucial consumable missing here, which is the hill. You don't get a hill on an Edinburgh with VIII. Yeah, we'll talk about that here in a moment. But you do get hydroacoustic search as well. So it is the OG Belfast consumable package with some tweaks to the smokes consumable, but I mean, hey, radar is a bit longer too. It's 9 kilometers at 8.5, and you get the DD smoke instead of the normal smoke. But yeah, what you gonna do? So anyway, that's the stats and the consumables for the Belfast 43. I'm going to go ahead and transition to some gameplay here, and I will discuss my experience with her there. Alright guys, voiceover Mountbatten here, and what you're watching is my actual second game in the Belfast, and this is actually my best game in the Belfast 43 that I had on this night. And, well, I gotta say, playing her, there's a couple of factors that go into having a good game in Belfast 43. The first one is not being up tier to tier 10. You can handle tier 9 pretty well, tier 10 not so much. Second factor is no CVs being involved. If no CVs are involved, ship's fine. Ship's a solid ship. Even in tier 10 matches, as long as you are cognizant of radar ranges and hydro ranges and where DDs are at, ship's fine at tier 9 without CVs. Ship's fine at tier 10 without CVs. When CVs are involved, that's kind of when you get shafted. Because this ship's main power is that low detection range and that 9-kilometer radar. It is fantastic when you can sneak up on DDs with that radar. Instant you get detected, just pop that radar and you catch them in the open. And then you can, of course, murder them. Because even though the guns do have a 10-second reload, 12 150mm guns, that's going to hurt. I don't care what type of DD you are, especially with British HE. So, in those cases, Belfast is a pretty good ship. Now, when you're not fighting DDs, which some games, especially with how matchmaking is now, you'll have 5 DDs on each side. Some games you'll have 2 DDs on the side. Some games you'll have no DDs on either side. So when you're stuck in one of those situations where either the flank you spawned on simply doesn't have any DDs, or there just aren't any around at the moment, when you're fighting other ships, it plays like a lot of other light cruisers. You have to throttle juke or hug the islands, abuse island cover, use your concealment, get around, spam HE, burn stuff down. Now, the thing is, I really wouldn't take IFHE on the Belfast 43 because you're giving up that very nice, well, with Demolition Expert, that very nice, 11-12% chance of starting a fire on a target for being able to bully French battleships, really. And with a 10-second reload, you're not really making up for the lack of fire chance through volume of fire, like on something like the Small Lens or the Atlantic, where you can take IFHE if you really want to, and just because of sheer DPM, you'll still start a few fires. But again, it's still less fires either way. But Belfast 4-3, especially with that 10-second reload, it's really not worth it. You're better off just hoping to start fires, which this ship is pretty good at. You know, when you're aiming for the deck, hitting the deck and the superstructure of enemy cruisers and enemy battleships, you will start plenty of fires. I mean, you're not going to be rivaling the Thunderer anytime soon, but it gets it done. And that DD smoke, when I first saw it had that, I was like, this kind of sucks, because original Belfast, OG Belfast, if you will, its power came from having radar and smoke and hydro at tier 7, so you could pop radar, sit in your smoke screen, and just farm to your heart's content, or just, heck, just pop smoke screen. As long as someone's spotting whatever cruiser or battleship you're farming, you're golden. And here in Belfast 43, without the ability to lay its own smoke screen, you now have to depend upon your teammates for that. Well, she can lay her own smoke screen, but it's not a long-term smoke screen. If you want a long-term smoke screen, you gotta share it. You gotta share somebody else's smoke screen, which, depending upon your team, may be something pretty easy or pretty hard. But her smoke screen right now is used for, well, surprising DDs. You rush in there with them. I'm not saying rush in the middle of a cap. I'm just saying if you know where they're at and you can get to them without beginning blapped. Go for it. Pop your radar. Scare the crap out of them. Pop your smoke screen. Be sure you're already decelerated, by the way, because the Belfast 43 has absolute trash deceleration. It has pretty good acceleration, though. So that makes it pretty decent for throttle juking, but we'll get to the other problem there in a moment. So you make sure you're going at like 1/4 speed, or you're already slowing down. Pop your smoke screen, pop your radar, pop your hydro, and just melt the DD. If you can pull that off. And then that's what her strength really is, her ability to bully DDs from within their own detection range. In most cases, again, against some other DDs, good luck with that. Like the Kleber, because Kleber don't care, or the Yolo Emilio, because Yolo Emilio don't care either way, for those of you that watched stream last night. But yeah, that's what the main thing about this Belfast is. That's the main difference in playstyle. Other than that, plays like a light cruiser from my experience in every other regards. When you're fighting battleships or other cruisers, kite out, play through throttle, play through rudder, try not to get blapped. The main difference is, that I mentioned earlier when I was talking about throttle juking, is that you're going to get slapped, and there's nothing you can do about it. And I mean nothing. Everything goes through your armor. If it even has slightly large guns, it's going through. Just get it out of your head that you're going to bounce it, because 9 out of 10 times, you're not. I mean, if you've played Edinburgh, you know what to expect here. The thing is, Edinburgh has that lovely British cruiser hill. Belfast 43 doesn't. To get, I guess, the smoke screen and the torpedoes, they forced her to give up her heel, which I think was a huge mistake. Now, should it have the same dry dock heel? Probably not. Just a standard tier 8 cruiser heel would have helped this ship a lot, because you can't make any mistakes in this ship. Because if you lose any bit of health in just some mild mistake, that's it. You can't take any big hits, because it's probably going to drain your health. Honestly, it'd probably drain your health anyway. And it just doesn't have that heal. I mean, if you survive a big hit, you're combat ineffective for the rest of the match. Because if you get down to like 2k, 3k, 4k, 5k health, like many British cruisers do after just getting one salvo from either a heavy cruiser that caught your broadside or a battleship that just clipped you. I mean, on stream, there was a Fuso that I think I was still at like 15k health, and a stray shell just clipped me, and that was it. I was done. His main group landed in front of me. It was that, that one BB shell that travels to the other side of your dispersion ellipse. That shell clipped me out of the fight. They're just over here just annoying their team. They don't appreciate it. Oh man! Jeez.
The enemy is about to win.
Y'all see that was that one Fuso shell. Man, I wasn't exactly at high health, but man, that one Fuso shell clipped me, and that was it. Jeez. So yeah, you cannot mess up on this ship because you will get absolutely slapped for it. So take that into consideration when considering purchasing that this ship. You are buying something that will get slapped out of existence. And as far as I'm concerned with this ship, most of you that were fans of Belfast Speed and Azure Lane, of the ship in real life, or the history of the ship, and it is a real ship, that is most definitely a plus. You probably already bought it. And good on you for it. If you enjoy it, I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's a bad ship. Because honestly, in the right situations, it's a pretty fine ship. It's just that when you get a double up tiered and when there's a CV, it's pain. It's pain. It is. It's a lot of pain. And I get it. The ship's popular. The OG Belfast has a reputation. But that ship really isn't what it once was. OG Belfast has kind of been power crept because there's so much more HE spam, there's so much more radar in this game that it's really not that special anymore. It still has a lot of consumables at tier 7. Yeah, still has a lot of utility at tier 7, and it still does stand above the crowd, but not as much as it once did way back in the day. You know? And Belfast 43, I mean, it's not the only ship that has a lot of consumables at tier 8. Again, it's having smoke and hydro, both at tier 8. That's very nice. I'm not going to lie about that and pretend that that's not nice, but it's just an Edinburgh with HE. That's when you boil it down when you boil it down at the end of the day, it's just an Edinburgh with HE and a longer reload and radar. That's it, really. I mean, to get that radar and smoke together, you had to give up the hill on a British light cruiser. That's painful. That is really painful. Again, in a tier 8 ship, where you will get up tiered to tier 10 quite often, with Richthofens around, which the smokescreen certainly does help with that. But I mean, it's the British DD smokescreen. It doesn't last very long, so it's not like you can wait the CV out. So I mean, it does help to give yourself a momentary breather away from CV planes, and yeah, it can buy you a couple seconds to consider where you're gonna go and what you're gonna do next. But with the ship's AA, you're really again just CV bait, and I would think with the AA that this ship gave up, and with the armor of the ship, they would have just given it a standard hill. I completely understand not giving it the British cruiser super hill, but maybe just either a standard hill or maybe an improved hill, because it is still the Edinburgh's hull. And what I'm finding in this ship is that I'll be having great games. When I was trying to record for this video, I was trying to record a different game from stream. I was having a game where it was only 7 minutes into the match. I had 55,000 damage done. And I was being careful, being cautious. I'm thinking, okay, cool. I'm going to get a pretty decent match to have for the review video. But then John Barr came out of nowhere, slapped me from almost full health to dead. Yeah, that's what happens in this ship. You make one mistake, you're dead. Or if you're not dead, you lose so much health that not much you can do for the rest of the match. So, at the end of the day, as far as I'm concerned, Mainz is a better choice. Go figure. Prince Eugen would be a better choice, even though Prince Eugen is a heavy cruiser. Mainz is probably the best light cruiser at tier 8 right now. Better than this ship. And again, if you're enjoying it, you're having a good time, great. I'm happy for you. I'm glad it's working for you. But to the average player out there that doesn't really have, love for it from the ship in real life, from the history of the ship, or from the game, no real reason to buy this. I mean, it's just an Edinburgh. Go research Edinburgh. I mean, that's pretty much it. Unless you just really want an Edinburgh with HE and radar and DD smoke. Because Edinburgh's probably a better performing ship than this ship. But that's just my opinion. That's just my first impressions of the ship from playing it during stream and playing it for a couple hours after. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. As far as I'm concerned, again, don't buy it. It's not worth the money. If you really want Belfast, take the $45 that this thing cost. Try your luck with the Santa containers this year and get the OG Belfast, because OG Belfast is still better than this Belfast, and that's my opinion. So anyway, guys, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Enjoy the video, drop a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. If you want to support more reviews, please join Patreon and support us there. That link is in the description down below as well. Hope you guys are having a wonderful Saturday, and hope to catch you guys in the next one.